Yes, good morning. This is Bernard, the fake banana grower, or the wannabe, I guess. This is not really day 0 or day 1. We've been doing a bit of stuff for a while. We put a shed and we put a nursery just to get started. And we also seeded the field with a cover crop, so that we keep the land busy for a while until we're ready. Well, at least it was gonna give us a lot of mulch also for our bananas and other stuff we're gonna be planting. And we kept most of our bananas in the nursery over winter. They did have a bit of a hard time because we were getting pretty close to frost here over winter, at least 3 or 4 times. But they're picking up again. There's a lot of new leaves coming up like this. So they're waking up again. So I'm gonna have to cut the dead leaves and then start planting these bananas. And some of the tallest ones are more or less still alive. And they did put out a few suckers. So that's a good sign, at least. We've got something to work with. Got some mix in there, red pineapples. And we're going to be planting a lot of other stuff. And today is the day we're going to mark the land and prepare it. A lot of overgrowth here of stuff. I've got some tree lucerne I'm going to use as an edge. I've got some Chilean nut also we're gonna be putting in. I got some eucalyptus, and I've got other stuff all over the place here, and it's hidden in the bush that we're gonna be putting in. But I've got a lot of Inca beans also we're gonna be putting in. I've got a bit of a chirimoyas starting to wake up also. I got some macadamian, gonna mix in there, and I got a lot of nice white zapote here. So we're gonna mix all of this in our agroforestry attempt, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm back. This is the area that had the cover crop, and we just removed it last time we came here. And this is where there's going to be a tiny house, a septic field, a lot of water tanks, some for the tiny house and some for irrigation. And there'll also be a little driveway going along the side of the fence. And throughout the property we put a 5-meter buffer all along the fence, and at the end for a shelter belt. And we put some ribbon wood. We also put a row of broadleaf and a third row of pittosporum, but the pittosporum has not been too happy, so we may have to replace it with something else, but the rest has been doing okay. And this is how the cover crop looks, at least in that area. And we'll be using that for our mulch, like I mentioned before. But where we're going to plant our actual bananas is in this area, where it's the front of the property, and north is that way. And this is where we're going to start with at least 4 rows, as I put up in my plan. Hopefully that's going to work. 38-meter long, 4 rows, and that will be our first trial. And this area just used to be ryegrass. It's been cut, and there's going to be a lot of good mulch that we can use out of this to cover our trees and our bananas. So we're going to start on this side here. And we put our 4 rows 6 meters apart. So we'll stop somewhere around there. And that's what we're going to be marking today. And the plan is that for the dirt they're going to remove for the driveway, which is going to start from the entrance there and go along here. We're going to reuse that topsoil to raise a little bit the beds, because there's about 30-40 centimeters of topsoil and there's a bit of pumice under. But then after 70 centimeters or so, you started hitting the clay. So we're going to raise that a little bit with the topsoil that's going to be removed. And on top of that, we're going to put some compost and create about a 2 meter wide raised bed and dip it a little bit in the bottom like you normally would do in agroforestry, and plant our trees. That's what we're going to be doing for the next 3 or 4 days, and we'll see what happens after that. So we'll start marking the lines today, and then I'm gonna till a little bit, just the top of it, to make it a bit loose, and then we'll start putting the topsoil. Tomorrow there's a guy coming with a digger, start removing some of the topsoil, and we'll be using this. So I'm out for now, and then I'll show you the progress as we go along. See you later. Okay, so we mark our rows. We got 4 rows marked, 6 meters apart, with 1 meter on each side as a buffer. And now we're going to remove all the hay that's been recently cut, so I can lightly till the surface to loosen the soil a little bit, and then we'll be able to start putting our trees in after we raise the beds with a bit of topsoil and some compost. So that's the beginning. 4 rows, 38 meter long, 1 meter buffer. In between the rows, I'm only gonna sow a cover crop a bit later this summer, probably maybe in autumn. I've got a cover crop, couple of cover crop bed seeds that are ideal for winter, which is the same that I planted at the end. As you can see, the tall stuff there that grew like crazy over winter. That's where there's a bit more rain. Summer there's not much. And we're gonna also put irrigation. I got access to water from a pump from the neighbor, and that will be used to irrigate at least during summertime. And then I'll have some water tanks where I'll fill with a pump from the neighbor, and then have my own pump so I can control exactly when I'm going to irrigate. Now I depend on when the neighbor irrigates, but that's okay. It's better than not having water at all. So now we're going to remove the hay, and then I'll start tilling. I've got a little push tractor. It's going to take a while, but yeah, I need to do that. All good. Talk to you later. Okay, so we removed most of the hay for the first row, basically doing it by hand, the real way. And I've got my helper doing it in a moment, and this will be ready now for the tiller. We're not going to go very deep. We don't want to destroy all the existing structure, but this ground is fairly compact, and it will help for the roots to go deeper if we till it a little bit, loosen up the soil. So this is the first row, and we got this pile of hay ready for us to use when we're gonna pile it over our bananas and other subtropical trees we're gonna put in. So out for now, and I'll go get the small tractor. Well, we managed to prepare at least some of it. So we got 4 rows where we removed the hay, cut whatever was left very short, and we got 4 rows almost ready. I only had time to lightly till one of the rows. We had a little bit of tractor problems, just my luck. And after having a bit of tractor problems, the rope to start the tractor broke too, so and it was really hard to start the tractor. So still have to till a little bit, 3 rows. So hopefully we'll be able to do that tomorrow. But I received something interesting today. See that pile over there? This is actually leftover from the Haake factory where they process sheeps for meat. And here they call it pooch. It's the inside of the stomach of sheep that has not been digested, so there's a lot of grass and stuff that they've been eating. And this pile has been mixed with sheep poo. And locally here, they've been using that for their garden quite a bit. And that's my hope that I'll be able to spread that on my rows and help the subtropical trees and bananas. So it's good that I've been able to use local stuff. And I was lucky because the person who delivered this is the place where I'm actually staying right now. So I only had to pay for delivery, just give it to me. That's a pretty good deal. So the hope is that we'll put some of the topsoil that they're gonna remove tomorrow while they're gonna do the little bit of the driveway. Hopefully we can add that and raise the bed a little bit and then spread this stuff over it. And then we'll be able to use all this hay also that we collected as mulch to protect all the moisture from going away. Here in summer is really dry. It's not gonna be much rain. So hopefully we'll be able to reuse all the stuff that was already here and limit our input as much as possible. But yeah, that's the story so far. So tomorrow morning, first thing, we'll finish tilling a little bit the 3 rows that are left, and then we'll have to deal with the driveway guy and other stuff. So until tomorrow.